I realized that we could do anything we set our minds to. Whenever I look back at all the old mythologies throughout the world, look to the Greeks, look to native traditions, look to the Chinese legends. What have the gods always had to fear? They've always feared men and women. Who was it who killed Heliod? Elspeth? Exactly. So you have to give them a reason to fear you.
Wasn't Elspeth a planeswalker, though?
Shut up. The point is, we are the only things that can threaten the gods. But they're not just going to be afraid of you if you're walking around hunky-dory with a life review that's you sitting in a cubicle. You need to go get strong. Sisyphus, let's roll that boulder, son. So there are plenty of examples that you can go to. You can read these classic literatures like you're a Leon, or you can be an Aaron and you can go get Squall, go get scary, and choose the path of light and love. Be able to destroy so we may preserve. The gods only fear certain people. Those who have recognized their free will and are carving a path. Make them fear you. Welcome to the No Streetlights Podcast. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Tim. We're veterans, here to talk about mental health, resilience, and the struggles we face every day.
Our goal is to foster kindness through understanding. So, let's take a breath, relax, and be welcome.
This episode of No Streetlights Podcast is sponsored by Alpha Progression, top-rated fitness app in Germany, and one of the most intuitive strength training apps on the market. Alpha Progression helps you build muscle and track your progress with personalized workout plans that actually make sense. Whether you're new to the gym or a seasoned lifter, this app takes the guesswork out of fitness. And what's incredible too is I've actually been using this app to help me get back into the gym because I have that analysis paralysis issue and I feel great, man. It's incredible too, because the app will actually let you decide how long you want your workouts to be. Like you can choose like an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, whatever like fits. It can tailor it down to what you want. And I have about an hour time frame to work out. So that's what I set it to. It was still able to get me 7 good workouts in for my entire upper body today. And I feel incredible. Before we get into the deep parts of this episode where Aaron and I are going to talk about the physical fitness aspect of our 3 core pillars of the human experience, we have spiritual health, mental health, and physical health. We want to take this time to kind of have a little bit of fun, a little bit of banter. Aaron went on a rant about the gods and how we can crush them if we really want to, and we really could. Aaron feels very strongly about crushing gods lately.
Yes.
Aaron and I, we've spent a lot of time going into the gym. We have a lot of fun gym stories that we can tell. So we kind of just want to, give you guys that a little bit. Aaron, why don't you start us off with something just downright silly, if you got anything in the chamber?
So obviously, one of my first times in the gym, I saw some dudes do the biggest, heaviest squat. They loaded up probably 8 plates on the bar. These guys are 5'10", 175 pounds. And I'm like, wow, I'm about to see something really impressive. So they unracked it. One boy's holding onto the other lad's lats, and he squats a full inch. Stands back up. Weights jostling. Does about 3 of those. While his boy's saying, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. They rack the weight. Charles and I look at each other and go, good for them.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
So whether it's your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, don't be a half repper. Get that full rep range. You need some depth for some gains.
Dude, one time I saw a guy, he had like, it looked like he was about to do like some shoulder presses or something, right?
Okay.
He had like these heavy ass, I think they were 80-pound dumbbells. And this was in Planet Fitness. So I think they maxed out at like 80, like they didn't go any higher than that.
Yeah.
And this dude looked yoked, brother. Like he was wearing like the spaghetti strap, like fucking tank top and everything. Swear to God, he walks over, grabs the weights, sits down, puts the weights on his knees. Like he's getting ready to like kip them up a bit and just get him that, that little momentum he needs. He looks at himself in the mirror and stares at himself.
Been there.
And I swear to God, he just stared. I saw his vein popping on his head. Sweat started pouring down his head. I was like, dude, this is about to be fucking intense. And then he gets up, puts the weights away, and leaves. And I was
One of the grades.
like, two things immediately came to my mind. I was like, this guy just worked out in his mind, and it worked. Or he had something severely serious happening in his head, and he was like, I can't be at the gym right now. I got to go be with my wife. My wife has given birth to our 4th child, and I got to be at the hospital right now.
Who else is going to bite the umbilical cord?
Who's going to bite the umbilical cord right off? And like, I'm like, this guy could have lifted those. Like, he didn't have any trouble moving them or anything. But I was like, what is going on over there, man? Like, this guy is playing a game in the shadow realm or something. Like, this is insane. But it was probably one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. It was so cool and so wild.
So one of the craziest things I've ever done in the gym, Garrett and I did an 8-hour gym challenge.
What the fuck?
We were used to doing 2-hour workouts in a day for 4 hours. And we said, we're feeling froggy. We're feeling indestructible. Let's pull the 8-hour gym challenge. Yeah. We went in there. We would hit a different muscle group every hour. We would eat a protein bar and have a shake between every hour. But by the end, we were exhausted.
Yeah, I bet.
And this is back whenever I was doing 50 pull-ups in order to get into the gym. And I had to do a set of squats and leg press alternating for 3, pushing myself in order to earn the right to lift that day.
Yeah, that's bananas. Why did you treat yourself like that, dude? Like, what was going on, man?
To prove it was possible, to make them fear me.
Do you regret that?
Not
like looking back on that.
All.
Do you kind of like look back on that and was like, I should have probably planned this out and went into the gym with a better workout plan? No, you don't.
No, you decided you were going to do a half marathon. So what did I do that day? A half marathon.
No regrets.
None.
Not even one letter?
No, we are here to prove that we are capable. If you set your mind to it, you can accomplish that. And the gym teaches us that. We don't just have to learn things through words. We have to learn through experience. And this is something that you can choose how you want to challenge yourself. At Shaolin Kung Fu, I tell the kids every night, your effort is only going to affect you. So this is like Aristotle said. We can't control the output, but if we control the input, we know we're going to get something good on the other side.
Yeah.
So I go in there every day and try and break myself so that no one can overcome me. No one can affect me. How can they? I just deadlifted 440. Relax.
They see you deadlift 440 and they're like, this guy's unstable. Let's just push him over.
Prove to yourself that you can.
It's like when you drive your car too hard and it's out of gas. There's like nothing left in the tank. And you're just like, but I did it.
If your car runs out of gas, you can still fucking push it. And I'm here to prove that.
So I remember when I was on the ship working out with Pickle all the goddamn time, dude. Pickle would push himself so hard, he would literally cause nosebleeds.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there wondering, like, how the fuck do you do that, dude? Like, you are built out of something completely different than I am. And like, keep in mind, this was when I was really big into going to the gym. I loved pushing heavy weight. I loved trying to see like what my limits were at and everything. But I never got to a point where I had a nosebleed in the gym. I've had points where I've like blacked out, like, you know, like the tunnel vision creeping in after hitting like a hard deadlift, some things like that. But I've never had a point where it was like a blood vessel burst in my nose. I'm like, damn, dude, you're built different, man. You're built different. He's also 6'5" and like, you know, made out of whiskey and bad decisions. So
that is definitely an oak barrel. But
yeah,
one question I've been asking a lot of my fellow black belts on the council here at the Quan is, have you thrown up from exercise? And so many of them say no. And I'm like, well, then you're not trying. What? I go until I'm about to chuck every night. That's real effort.
I feel like that sends the wrong message to people, though.
Maybe.
Like,
don't hurt yourself. Yeah, don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, you should probably do what's well within your reason. Aaron's insane, right?
Yes.
He's unlocked the secrets of the universe a little bit with his insanity. One huge thing that I think is key, especially when working out and like pushing yourself to the limits and everything, is like do the thing that you didn't think you could do, right? You know, I've ran so much that I've thrown up before. That has happened. That is a thing. But when I first started working out, man, like I never used to be able to like run. Like I was a weak runner, dude, terrible at running. So I was like, that's what I need to focus on. But I hated it. So what did I do? I sprinted, dude. I sprinted so goddamn much that I was able to sprint an entire mile. I did like a 7.5 minute mile. It wasn't the greatest. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I ended it half dead, but the simple fact that I went from not being able to run a mile to sprinting a mile and a half. I'm sorry, from not being able to run a mile to being able to sprint a mile. I felt good about that. I was like, this is a great way to warm up. This is how I warm up every day at the gym. I just do a quick, but that was the same motivation I brought whenever I started training for the 12K. I was like, look, I hate running now, and I used to hate working out. But the more I do it, the more I find passion and energy, and I'm able to do it. I find the thing that I don't like doing. I hate doing deadlifts, dude. I don't know why. I think it's because my carpal tunnel hands over here just have a hard time gripping that bar. I'm over here like this, like I'm a strong hand. And it's just the weight pulling down on my hands. It just hurts, bro. But I hate doing deadlifts. So what do? Do deadlifts, bro. Like that's what I have to do because I need to get past that point of I hate this. And that's how I do it. Embrace the suck.
Another thing is people are embarrassed to get started. But who learns the most? The beginner. So no matter how far along you are on your journey, you need to hold on to that beginner's mindset. You need to be ready to learn every single day and make sure that your setup is right every single time you go back to that. If you're not practicing perfect, you're practicing to fail. So ensure that you're set up right. Think about what you're doing. Make sure you're really engaging. Hold on to that beginner's mindset. Whenever you stop learning, you start dying.
We're getting off. We're kind of getting away from what this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be like lighthearted a little bit.
I just want to inspire and share wisdom. I'm on it.
No, yeah. No. I get that. Yeah. No, yeah.
We all have to start somewhere. Whether that's your physical journey, your mental journey, your spiritual journey, get started now. If 3 years have elapsed and you haven't started, you're 3 years older with nothing to show for it. Challenge yourself. You are capable.
Dude, what got you interested in like working out? Like I imagine it was Kung Fu, right?
Yeah, it was. But we all have a horse in us that wants to work. And you have to feed it in order for it to grow. So I knew I need to be doing something with my body. My body is here to bring me through the world, and I want it to be powerful. So I had to learn how to generate power, whether that's Kung Fu or learning your mind-body connection and moving more weight. That's why I love deadlift. It's because I can move weight. That's what we're meant to do. We're meant to cause ripples.
So is that the mindset you had at like 15, 16 when you were in Kung Fu and you were like, I really want to get into this?
When I was 10 to 12, I had really poor self-image. And so I asked my parent what to do. And they said, here are some weights, get big. And I did 100 shrugs a day because everyone wants to talk to the guy with big traps. Everyone asks the guy with big traps what he's been doing. And I know I'm here to guide people. So I want people flocking to me to ask for the answers they seek. As you said, I'm not just insane. I've delved into the depths of the universe to bring you back secrets. I've got the knowledge, and I need to share it with you.
This man's a goddamn wizard from Dungeons and Dragons.
Sorcerer. I just tap into source.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But you need to challenge yourself and get comfortable being uncomfortable in order to grow.
Yeah. Dude, there's this photo of me from back when I worked at Rogers Jewelers before I ever started like working out or anything like that. And it's a photo of me eating like the pan pizza from Little Caesars. And like, there's like, you know, I look back on that because that was like right before I started focusing on getting into the gym and working out and actually like holding a strict diet. Because up until I was 18, I had zero interest in like working out. I had zero interest in physical fitness. Like I just kind of assumed I would be innately good at those things. I'm like, yeah, it's probably in my genes. Like, I'm probably fine. I don't really need to work out. Like, who the people who needs to work out are like professional footballers and stuff like that. 18-year-old me, Yeah, no. And then I got into the gym, and a good buddy of mine who I was working with at Rogers at the time, he was the one who was like, hey, bro, you got to, come to the gym. Like, the gym memberships are cheap, come with me. I've been really big into fitness and stuff. So I started going with him. It was like a 10-minute drive from my house. I was like, I'm not working a full-time job. I don't really have anything else to do. I might as well. First couple of times in the gym, dude, murdered me. I'm telling you, like, I felt dead. And I look back on those because that motivated me so much. I had this idea of like, well, I'm innately going to be fine at physical fitness. I don't have to train. There's nothing I'm training for. I just need to be fit enough to survive every day. And, that kind of got thrown back in my face because I was like, damn, I'm really not shit. I'm really not shit, man.
But here's the thing that I want to know, Tim. What have you learned in the gym while praying in the Iron Church? What have you been able to discern?
Consistency is key. Okay. That is the number one thing. Consistency is what's important. It's not about what you do in the moment, but it's about what you do leading up and after as well. So it's a constant building effect. Those are two major things that I've learned, because whenever people talk about, like, oh, I want to get a 6-pack of abs, dude, and I want to have that beach bod and stuff like that, they think going to the gym and doing 100 crunches is going to get them a 6-pack. And it's like, yeah, you're going to work the muscles, but truth be told, like, your body fat percentage, that's all built in the kitchen, dude. Like, you got to really be toning in on your diet. You got to be focusing on your caloric deficit. Like, that's where you're going to start seeing the major changes to like your body fat percentage. But that doesn't mean you stop going to the gym and just focus on cooking. It's a compounding effect, right? And it can't just be like you eat healthy for a couple of days and you eat like shit for another couple of days. It's a matter of like, you got to stay on top of that. So you have to look at the compounding effect and you have to look at the consistency. Yeah, those are the two biggest things I learned while I've been praying to the iron gods. What about you, Aaron?
For me, it's really been about decisiveness. If you're not sure if you can do it, then you can't do it. If you're sure you can, you will. And that's not only in the gym, but here. We've decided we can do this. And that's why it's happening. And that's how it is with everything in your life. If you got one foot inside and one foot out the door, you're never going to build a home. You're never going to go work. You have to commit. And you have to commit now. This moment isn't something you can do tomorrow. You don't get it back. So take advantage of it while you can.
Yeah. Huge lesson, dude. Huge lesson. Damn, man. I'm really glad that we had this opportunity to kind of sit down with the after reflections of recording the fitness app to kind of bring this introduction to the episode and to our audience.
Might get spliced in.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to. I think it's just going to be at the beginning, to be quite honest with you. We'll start off with some big hype. We'll bring it down a little bit, and then we'll ease them back into the episode. Very happily, very fine. It's going to be a little different than people have normally seen from us, but you know what? We've never been sponsored before, so
embrace the thirst trap.
Damn straight. There are tons of shirtless photos of myself and Aaron coming into this episode, so I really hope you guys are ready. There's also a really fun Robert Downey Jr. shirtless scene that I think you guys are going to laugh at a little bit. Huge shout out to YouTube. Discombobulate. Huge shout out to the YouTube creator Mock, who made that funny little meme video that I absolutely adore. You're incredible, man. So yeah, again, huge thank you to Alpha Progression for sponsoring this episode. We really do want to start getting deeper into the actual topic of physical fitness, physical health, and what exactly that looks like, especially to people who are suffering through anxiety or depression.
Aaron, is that you?
You know it's me asking for you to like the video again.
Oh, Aaron, but you know I'm going to.
Do it. Do it now.
Right now?
Oh, bravo Zulu, shipmate. You've liked the video.
Oh, thanks. What do I get in return?
Our undying love and affection. And I will fight one person for you for free.
Okay, now that's a good damn deal. I'm not going to lie. I would subscribe for that.
Subscribe. I'll fight for you.
Back to the episode, Timmy.
Do you know what I really want to talk about today?
What's that, Aaron? What are you feeling?
I just miss lifting with the boys.
Yeah. I feel that, especially after my conversation with Pickle recently.
Such a good episode.
Thank you. Yeah, it was all Pickle.
It always is.
That's how I order my cheeseburgers too. I'll be
Just
like,
all
can I
pickle.
just get all pickle?
Yeah.
And Pickle will come flying through the McDonald's window at me. But yeah, dude, like we talked about it way back in our earlier, within our first 10 episodes. I can't remember what episode number it was. I think it's like 4.
Mm-hmm.
Where we discussed like the 3 main pillars.
Yeah.
And at the time I had undertaken the journey of like training for a 12K, which is something that I'd never done before in my entire life, and succeeded at, by the way. I got my medal, got the photos.
That was
It's up on
Mount
social.
Vesuvius, wasn't it?
Yep.
Oh.
Mount Vesuvius.
What a fucking
Yeah,
cool
dude.
opportunity.
But the 3 months leading up to that, I had dedicated to a 100-day body transformation challenge to see what I could do, like push myself to the limits and like work out and run and everything. Dude, I think I dropped like a good 18 pounds.
Yeah.
I was wearing pants that I hadn't been able to wear in years. Like I was fucking satisfied. But the problem was, after completing that, yeah, it didn't stick, right? Like I was doing things that weren't sustainable. So it was really difficult for me to focus on that third and very important. All 3 pillars are very important. So just to state it, we got the mental health, the spiritual health, and the physical health.
Yeah.
And I kind of let that physical health dwindle since then.
Yeah. I have had an interesting relationship with working out my whole life. And if it's not baked into my life plan,
Yeah.
it just doesn't happen. I know at that time I was rollerblading a lot. And so I was looking really good. I was down to about 175 pounds. But then I got really depressed and got up to like 190.
Yeah.
And thankfully I've come back to Kung Fu and working out. So I'm back down to about 175 and I just feel so much better.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ever since Brittany ran her half marathon, I've been feeling a lot more motivated to get back into running and actually dedicating time to going to the gym, because I would always tell myself the same excuse, right? Like, well, I just don't have time within the day anymore. You know, like I'm editing the video, I'm uploading stuff, I'm constantly working on my actual job, and then the nonprofit. And in that mix, I'm also a full-time husband. So I'm like, I'm working 3 full-time jobs over here, it feels like sometimes.
Don't forget the animals.
Yeah. And I'm a father of 3. 3 fur babies. But dude, I was like, I just don't have the time. And Brittany was like, well, you do. You just don't allocate the time to that. She's like, you know, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it'll be like my lunch break and I'll go on lunch at like 11:30 and then I'll go back in the office around like 13 or something, right? Depending on if Brittany's with me, if we got to go shopping or whatever. She's like, you know, realistically speaking, you could go to the gym for like a good 45 minutes and then eat some food real quick before you go back to the office, or vice versa, you know? And I was like, but that sounds like a chore.
Master Jason has an amazing quote on the wall at the Quan that I think pertains to this exact situation. If it's important, you'll find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I've been finding excuses for something that is actually important.
There's actually an app that we've found that helps in this because it bakes it in to your process.
Yeah. So full disclosure here, it's already been labeled here as is important, but this episode is actually sponsored, and that sponsor is Alpha Progression, which is the physical fitness app that we are going to be talking about today as we discuss how important it is to focus on your physical health.
The reason I love this app so much is because it lines up perfectly with what I'm looking to do at the gym. Anyone who's ever lifted with me knows what I'm about, and that one thing is gains. Alpha Progression is 100% focused on that, and it was developed by people who have background in this sphere.
Yeah. Competitive bodybuilders, people who are personal trainers, like they have some actual like people with knowledge and scientific information that they had help sit down and create this app. And it's amazing too. The app has actually been getting quite popular too, which is how we kind of noticed it. It had been recognized as app of the day on Apple, which I'm an avid Apple user.
Funny aside, one of the biggest countries that we are listened to in is Germany. And this is the top exercise app in Germany.
Yep. I was just about to get to that, man. You took the words right out of my mouth. Again, right, going back to this core concept of the 3 pillars. You know, I have spent so much time over the past 5 years focusing on my mental health, and I've managed to enhance my spiritual health quite extensively. But I've just been lacking on my physical health so much. Like I would have spurts where I would go to the gym and get in like a good routine, and then something would happen and I would stop. And, you know, I would be like, well, we're getting busy. We have an inspection coming up at work, so I don't have any time to do it. You know, I would find those excuses and be like, whatever. I can throw out the fitness. Like that doesn't matter. You know, I'm 31. I'm going to be 32 by the time I get out of the military. And being in a like healthy physical condition is going to be something that, you know, if I start working on it now and actually keep it consistent and routine, that's going to do wonders for me later on in life as my body gets older and things get a lot more difficult for me to do. And when I was around like 2021, I got really big into going to the gym. I became a huge gym rat. And, you know, I was like, I got so cocky. I was like, yeah, I'm like hot shit. You know, I go to the gym like 5 to 6 nights a week. And like, if that Tim could see me now, he'd be like, bro, what's wrong with you, bro? Like I had fucking gold earrings and shit. Like it was insane. That was a whole different person. That was a decade ago, dude. Like I don't even recognize that person.
Were you in this phase whenever I came back? And absolutely one of my fondest memories of coming back to Parkersburg from the service is the first time I came home and worked out with you and Brian.
Yep. That was it. And you absolutely crushed me.
Well, I'm just insane. So you can't ever use me as a marker.
I mean, 21-year-old me didn't understand the concept of insanity, you know? I had zero world experience. So.
Yeah. But if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's where this app really shines. I mean, generating a plan is how I entered the 1,000-pound club. If you're serious about your fitness, you're going to want a plan.
Yeah. And kind of going back to our concept here, right? Like people who suffer with anxiety and depression and most mental health conditions, developing a plan is something that you're honestly going to find very difficult, right? Like you find your way into a routine and you stick into that routine. But developing that routine is what's so difficult, right?
Yeah.
Having this app, Alpha Progression, has been amazing because I really don't have to sit there and plan it out. Like, you know, I have to do a little bit of leg work, but for the most part, all the workouts, like for the muscle parts, that, like the muscle groupings that I'm targeting, it's all done for me. I just got to find the muscle grouping that I want to do and I'm good to go, right? Like the next thing I know, 45 minutes passes by and I haven't even worried about what's my next workout going to be or how many sets or how many reps. Like this thing does all the work for you.
That makes me wonder, what was your favorite muscle group to work?
Chest.
Chest.
Always been chest.
Okay.
Yeah. Always been chest.
I really enjoy chest, but I don't know. There was always something special to me about back day.
I remember you used to always talk about your back muscles and be like, I call it the dragon. And then like flex your muscles because you would be like, it looks like the face of a dragon.
That was my gold earring phase, I guess.
Yeah, that was your gym rat bro phase, God. You know? Dude, that shit was funny. It's hilarious too, because you're talking about like, you started this off with the discussion of like, you know, you miss going to the gym with the boys and stuff. And truth be told, man, I've been feeling heavily nostalgic lately. Like I've been thinking back to like, you know, with my Tim's Thoughtful Tuesdays, a good majority of them have been like, I've been thinking about so-and-so from high school and I really hope that they've been doing well. And, you know, it's so hard to imagine, like life was so difficult for me after high school up until about 26 or so. Like we graduated with a class of like 350 people or something in that ballpark.
Yeah.
I'm like, how many of them had to struggle the same way we did? Right. And like statistics show that 1 in 5 adults suffer with some kind of like mental health, like disorder or condition. So, I mean, 1 in 5 out of 350, that's what? Math? 60? 70.
All I know is out of the 350-ish of us, I was like 5th and my whole name is A's. And I know I deal with mental health struggles, and I might even be 1 in 3 that are misdiagnosed. Even in that small or big of a class, depending on your own background, out of the first 5, one of them you already know had similar struggles to you, Tim.
I mean, it really puts it in perspective for me, right? And I keep going back to these thoughts of like all the times when I would go to the gym. Like my gym buddy was always Brian back in the days. And then like, you know, you would pop in during, because I wasn't in the military at this time and you'd like pop in and be like, hey bro, let's go to work out or whatever.
I need to just take 1 second because the audience doesn't know Brian.
Oh yeah.
He's a man a couple years older than me. He's never smiled and he's as wide as he is tall.
Damn.
Man's a brick shit house. The first time I saw him, I was like, he's a linebacker. I don't watch football, but that's what this man does.
Dude, it's so funny too, because like when we were younger and we met Brian, like, you know, we were very clearly shorter. And now we're just kind of like, you were a quarterback, weren't you? Love you, Brian. I know you're listening. You're one of our most consistent fans. Fun fact too, Brian's favorite quote from the show ever was when Aaron was talking about when he would go back home and he would like run into people he knows or people who know him, and they'd be like, hey, he's like at a gas station, be like, hey, are you Aaron Ash? And he'd be like, yes, I am. And I'd like to pay for my gas and change and like put a bag of change on the counter.
Yeah. So you talked about how hard this is. And so we have several episodes that are all about hype. We have another Aaron hype video that's going to be coming out around the same time as this core is probably going to get released.
Episode.
Yep. Full episode. That's probably going to coincide with this. The other day, whenever I had that idea of like your wife could draw a comic of us, that was the scene I was thinking of. Me standing next to somebody and like their eyes are shining and they're like, oh my God, you're Aaron Ash. And then the next one, it's like inverse. And I'm like, yes. And I would like to buy change with gas or gas with change.
It's like this idyllic, like rose colored glasses, like seeing everything shiny. And like, you're like the handsome anime pro tag. And then it cuts over and you're like Saitama, One Punch Man, and his like derpy face where it's like round and shit.
Got like
he's
a booger.
Like, yeah. He's like, yes. And I'd like to pay for this
stain
gas
on my
with
shirt.
change.
Yeah. So
dude, that's fucking great.
Yeah. But once you cross over to the other side, like Aristotle was talking about, you do become the hero of your story. It's so fantastic. You know, the happiest I've ever been is when I was at Shaolin all the time. And I had that mind-body connection, or muscle-mind connection is what we call it in bodybuilding. You know, exercising is so good for your mental health in so many ways. Not only are you going to find community, which was the 5th step on Core 1 for improving your mental health. Like, you find community, you find connection with your body. And if you're really striving, you're going to find connection with your soul.
Yeah. And I feel like every time I've ever gone, so every time I go, or I'm pretty sure this is how it is for everybody, but whenever you go like to a mental health or behavioral health appointment, whatever like it's referred to on the outside of the military, you fill out like what Lauren McNeese was talking about, where there's like this like questionnaire you have to fill out. Yeah. And one of the big questions that's always asked on there is like, how often do you engage in muscle training? How often do you engage in cardio throughout the week? Do you find it difficult or do you find it easy? So on and so forth, like rated on a scale of 1 to 5. And I think that's because, you know, a lot of mental health goes hand in hand with physical fitness, right? When you're consistently going to the gym and getting a workout in, like you don't have to be doing bodybuilder style workouts, right? Like doing something that exhausts your muscles and actually puts a little bit of strain on them is perfectly fine. Like nobody's telling you have to go and train to be part of the 1,000-pound club, Aaron. You know, nobody's telling you that you have to walk out of the gym in 4 months with an 8-pack of abs, right? All that shit's genetic anyway, and mostly, you know, diet. But at the end of the day, like just going to the gym, getting a nice workout in, something that's, you know, consistent, get your heart rate at a specific level where it's actually elevated and you're consistently burning calories and doing a little bit of muscle work, a little bit of cardio. You're going to start seeing like endorphins are going to, well, you're not going to see it, but you're going to be able to feel like the endorphins getting released in your system. You know, your stress, you're going to be feeling a little bit less stressed. You're going to be finding yourself getting a little bit better sleep. You know, you're exhausting your muscle rather than atrophying and sitting on the couch all day. And on top of that too, like you're going to start getting a confidence boost once you start seeing like the small changes. And it does take a little while, right? Like I didn't first see changes in my body when I was actually like hardcore working out in the past 10 years. I didn't start seeing changes until, I don't know, like a month and a half, maybe 2 months in. So it does take a little bit of time, but you have to be consistent.
Yeah. And that has brought up a bunch of things in me that this app does exceptionally well. I kind of want to be a little bit of a contrarian or how we said you have to challenge the opinion. Otherwise, you can't really discern if it's right or wrong. So I'm going to tell our audience that you don't even have to go in there and absolutely annihilate yourself. I think going to the gym is writing a love letter to your body for carrying you through this experience. You deserve to be healthy. And if you just go in there and you start learning about yourself, that in and of itself is phenomenal. And if you have an app like this one, it'll log your rate of perceived exhaustion and build your plan according to that. So as you get stronger, it's going to get more challenging. A lot like my favorite activity, Shaolin Kung Fu. White, yellow, blue, green, they're pretty all right. Brown belt, you start doing weird stuff. And then black belt, it just blows your mind. And every rank is more complex. So this app is going to challenge you in the same way that Shaolin challenges me.
I want to go back a little bit, right? Because earlier you asked me what my favorite muscle group was to work out. Chest, right? But there was actually a time period within the past couple of years where I started it was when Brittany and I were still not able to live together. I didn't have the command sponsorship. So she would have to fly back to the States for 3 months and stuff. And I was working out with one of the guys I worked with. His name was Chastain. Awesome fucking dude. Love that guy. He was one of those people who he really laid down the foundation for hey, this is what the military really is like. But I was working out with him consistently, and we started incorporating leg days into our workout twice a week. And legs quickly became my favorite workout for a while because that's where I would see the most rapid growth. At that point, I was pushing chest pretty well. And I was consistent. I wasn't going in and putting up an extra 20 on bench each set, But for legs, dude, I'd have a crushed leg day. And then we would do our regular workout rotation, and then we get back to leg days. And I just felt like I was pushing the weight higher and higher and higher each time. So it was it became my favorite thing, right? But that's because I was seeing that progression, man. I was damn, I feel like I'm growing. I'm over here. Before I was squatting and doing, just 45s on the side. Now I'm squatting with 3 45s on each side. I was this is fucking insane. And it's only been 3 weeks of hardcore pushing legs.
I can tell we're different gym bros because I always say the number of the weight, not the number of the plates.
Yeah.
So I find it incredible that you're focusing on seeing what you're doing well, whereas my mind first goes to seeing what you want to improve. Because the gym, much like your mental health, you can either take little steps or you can throw dynamite at the stone that is, sitting in front of you. And we both take different approaches. Me, I did 50 pull-ups to get in the gym whenever I wanted my pull-ups to get better. Or if I wanted legs to get better. And, we all hate legs initially, but you found love for legs this way. I found love for legs because in order to get into the gym, I had to do legs. If I wanted to do chest or shoulders or arms, I had to do a leg workout. A superset 3x10 with squats and leg press until I got to 405 on squat. And then I was like, cool, I can quit doing legs every day because I hate it. Looks like you had a fun story that brought up for you.
Yeah, because it reminded me. I remember at one point during our gym bro times, I would be like, hey, Aaron, how often do you work out legs? Your response every fucking time was I don't work out legs. My legs carry me every day. Why do I need to work out?
Yeah. Eventually I came around, but
yeah. And I'm looking back on those days because I hated legs. I hated working out legs back then too. I was like, dude, my upper body is all I care about. Who cares about legs? And I just looked back on those days and I was like, dude, we were so fucking stupid back then.
Dude, we just learned so much. And that's such a big part of the process. But yeah, I'm glad we all get to a point in time where we learn how important legs are.
Yeah. So I'm really glad we've been able to talk about alpha progression pretty extensively at this point. We had a little bit of fun back and forth of oh, dude, do you remember back then, this, that, and the third? But one thing that I think is very important here is to discuss barriers people will face if challenging to get their physical fitness back to a level that they're satisfied and happy with if they're not satisfied and happy. But there's a lot of like barriers and challenges that they're going to have to get through. We kind of touched on it already, but the motivation and depression, like, dude, running this podcast and like doing the stuff that we do behind the scenes to keep this business up, I get burnt out so fast. Like I'll like spend 5 hours editing an episode and like be like, oh man, this is perfect. And then like it'll get published and like I'll be watching it with my wife and then I'll notice something was messed up. Yeah. And I'm just immediately like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I'm so done with it. I get over it. I'm just like, I don't even want to like edit. Like, I'm so bad at this. Like, I'd rather pay somebody to edit our videos at this point. Luckily, I got Aaron there who's like, hey man, like, you're doing a great job. I really love that you did this instead of this and blah, 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 which has been really nice. He helps keep me out of that burned out phase. But what's important here for this discussion is if you're feeling that depression or you're feeling that burnout or you're just feeling that lack of motivation, you don't have to start with, getting in the gym and immediately sitting down and do, chest press, bench press, squats. There's ways for you to start small. When I first started working out, like I was never an athletic person ever, right? I never did sports. I never did anything like that. I would get home from school, sit on my computer and like play on Photoshop. Like I got really big into Photoshop and RuneScape. Yeah. So I was never a big fitness person. So the first time somebody got me into the gym for like an actual workout, like, dude, I wasn't pushing weight. Like I was not pushing weight. I was simply getting my muscles acclimated to doing physical fitness, like beyond just existing. And that looked simple, right? Like, in context and retrospect to me now to like what I'm capable of doing. But at the time, it was difficult. Like, okay, sprint for 15 seconds. Okay, now walk for 5 minutes. Okay, now sprint for 15 seconds. Okay, now walk for 3 minutes. Now sprint for 20 seconds. Now walk for a minute and then sprint 30 seconds. And I was like, that fucking killed me. I was like, nope, that's it. I'm done. My legs are sore. I'm already out of it. And it's like, though I wasn't pushing any weight. My point here is you don't have to show up to the gym, pull 45s out, slam them on the bar, and immediately start pushing out 12 to 15 rep sets. Like that's not realistic. Like be realistic. Understand what your body is capable of doing.
Yeah, you brought up a lot of things for me talking about challenges and barriers, motivation and depression. And for me, the mind-body connection is incredibly important. And I thought that's where you were going initially. Because as you learn yourself, you become more aware of these things. And all three of these pillars are really connected together.
I just want to let the audience know real quick, right? Before we actually sat down to start recording, Aaron and I had a very brief conversation about how I said, I don't mind if I get into a fight and get my ass absolutely handed to me, because I know Aaron's immediately behind me to come in with the heavy swings, which is why I didn't go into the mind-body connection thing. I was like, Aaron's got this. He can hit the heavier swings than I can. I'll take the first couple of swings and then Aaron will finish it off with the haymaker. Thanks, buddy.
Little does he know that that's all I'm saying about the mind-body connection.
Beautiful. Dude, no, there was, I actually do kind of want you to go a little bit deeper into the mind-body connection, because I remember there was somebody who I was talking to at one point. It was a guy that I used to work out with on the ship. Super awesome dude. He like would basically drag me out of like my rack to make me go to the gym with him, which I loved because I was suffering so much. Like that shit helped a lot. He was that guy who was like, I don't know how to connect with you beyond like, I'm not an emotional person, but I know how to work out and I know it's going to help you. So, let's go. We'll chat some horror movies and stuff. And then he would like bring me to the gym.
Sometimes thinking and talking is the solution. Sometimes doing is the solution. That's where the gym comes in. So sorry, go ahead.
No, that's a beautiful assessment from you, Aaron. Thank you. Yeah, that was a huge thing. But I remember whenever he'd be lifting, like I would get there and I would like try to pump out my sets, and whatever, like, how I would typically have worked out. And he'd be like, hey man, like, let me show you some stuff. And he'd like slow me down. And he's like, you can feel the muscles pulling, like actually feel it. And I was like, you're on drugs, dude. Like you're high. And I eventually did like get to a point where I was like, no, I get what you're saying now. Like, I understand. I'm picking up what you're putting down, buddy. Like, thank you. But I do think it's important to understand what the mind-body connection is, Aaron.
Yeah. So what that's bringing up for me is in Kung Fu, when we see someone being really sloppy, we know it's because they don't have this connection. And so it's almost upsetting to watch. So for mind-body connection, people in Kung Fu, when they don't perform the forms well, I know they haven't done it slowly. Doing your external hard, forms slowly, you learn what point in space you're supposed to be throughout the entire thing. And that answers so many questions you're going to have. And it's the same way in the gym. I didn't have a good connection to my back initially. And so whenever I finally unlocked that, it felt like I had leveled up. And that's how mental health and physical health ties in together. It's your body and it's your experience. If you're not being aware of your body, you don't know where you're supposed to be in space and time. And that's why I've always emphasized that mind-body connection so vigorously in Kung Fu. Does that answer kind of your...
Yeah, it does. It reminds me of a very important mantra that we have in the Navy, and I'm sure you're going to remember this as well. But it's like slow is smooth is fast. Smooth is fast, right? And if you're going to the gym and you're not very familiar with what you're doing, but you're using Alpha Progression to help you plan your workouts, you don't want to sit there and be working your biceps and flinging the weights through the freaking the wall behind you or trying to lodge them into the ceiling, right? That's not the goal. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think we've all been there, man. The goal is to be focusing on what is this actually doing for my body and thinking about it. As the muscles are pulling, am I actually working the bicep? Or am I getting my shoulder in there and throwing the weight back? It's very important to focus on form at the end of the day. So kind of going back to our challenges and barriers here, it is important to understand, I suffer from anxiety.
Yep.
And Aaron, you suffer from depression.
Big time.
And the big depresso, which that can be a huge barrier to getting yourself in the gym too. There are times when I go into the gym and I'll be it's a military installation. So I'm there with Air Force, Army, Marines, other Navy people. And some of them are fucking monsters. We legitimately have bodybuilders in the military. I don't know if people knew that or not. I don't know if it's a surprise. Nick Miller, hello. But I'll go to pick up, some weights or get on a machine right next to a bodybuilder. And I'm like, should I even be here? I almost kind of get that little bit of intimidation, right? And that's coming from somebody who I feel confident that I can go into a gym and look at, with the workout that I select or that I'm going to go do, I'm confident that my form is going to be good. Even if I'm out of practice, I'm okay, I understand how this workout actually works. If you're somebody who's new to the gym and you're still learning how form works and getting that mind-body connection, sitting down next to a bodybuilder can feel like the worst possible situation, the worst possible outcome for you, because you don't want to be there working out next to the dude who looks like Adonis,
I do.
Or, well, Aaron, you just started this episode by saying you're insane, so you can't use you as a marker.
Well, but here's the thing. I'm insane, but I'm also, because of that, I have access to the secrets of the universe. And a thing that I want to bring up is what you need, you have to surround yourself with. So if you're lacking that motivation, you need to watch gym motivation videos. You need to watch, if you're anxious, you should watch Joey Swole. He's a huge creator all about gym positivity and inclusion. There are things out there that are going to help get you in that direction. And then once you get there, you need to look for people who are going to be mentors for you. You need to look to the guy who's really swole. And if I want to be jacked, I want to be working with a guy who is jacked, because I know he's going to get me there. Just like how therapy helps us with our mental health. You need mentors in every single field to progress and learn the lesson that your soul signed up for.
Beautiful lesson. And I think it's very important for people to hear that too, right? Because it's so easy to point out I don't want to go to the gym because I feel like a newbie, or, I'm anxious to work out next to the big dude. But the big dude, right? And this is what always got me past those moments. I would look at him and be like, that guy put in a lot of work. But at one point he was a beginner too, right? Every master had started in the same spot you are.
Master Jason and I talk about this all the time.
Yeah. It goes back to that idea that I had talked about in our self-rescue episode, where it was if it's going to take me 3 years to become a bodybuilder, if I start now, the time's going to pass whether I start or don't. So I might as well start, right? every major journey starts with one step.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Or it takes, how do you, my favorite one, right? My favorite one that I've been going through lately is, how do you eat an elephant, Aaron?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time, baby.
That's
right.
Oh my gosh. Since we're talking about our guests and Joey Swoll and Nick Miller and, Ryan Higginson is coming up for me, because he said, in this experience, everything is for you. Everything that's happening is meant to happen for you to learn your lesson from this existence. And one of the things we're here to learn, one of the cognitive delusions we're here to erase, is everyone wants you to succeed. We all want to get to the end goal. So if you're anxious about going in the gym, you start watching Gym Motivation, Joey Swoll, workout videos with Athlean-X or whoever's not problematic right now, in order to get that in your field. Once you get there, you're going to keep learning that everyone wants you to succeed. Yeah. Everyone there is going to keep teaching you, keep healing you from whatever obscurations are preventing you from being your truest self. And I think it was Socrates who said, it's a crying shame for a man to grow old and not know the splendor of his physical. I'll have to look up that quote.
Socrates, I hardly know a tease.
Stop trying to make fetch a thing. Socrates quote.
It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable.
That's it.
And then immediately under that, you can trade around the clock for 10,000 plus US stocks, ETFs, and options. The internet's a great place, man. It's so wild.
And then
it's
no
so
man
insane.
Has the right to be an amateur in the matters of physical training. It's a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body's capable. Yeah. This experience is for us. We need to show our gratitude for our body for carrying us through this experience.
And I think that's one huge thing that has attracted me to the Alpha Progression app, dude. Like, don't get me wrong, right? Like, it's an application on my cell phone and everything, but I feel like it's that first opportunity for me to find a mentor, right? Like, somebody out there cared so much about making physical health accessible for those who want to, train physically, that they put together such an intuitive app that makes it so easy to plan your workouts, log your workouts, track your progression, see exactly what your goals are going to be. I think it's very important because, like, if let's say you're not sure who to start with, or none of your friends are really big into working out, finding something like Alpha Progressions would be a huge boon for you because it gives you a place to start. And then once you start getting into the gym and start getting into the flow of it, you're going to start talking to the people there. You're going to start having like your gym friends, and then those people are going to be like, hey man, I'm about to go do this set, or, whatever. Right. And they're going to invite you over to come like work out with them, or you could do the same to them, or they, you could just ask them a question like, hey man, I saw you doing this workout. What does that work? How do I focus on this muscle grouping? You seem to know a lot about it. Like, I made a lot of friends when I was hitting the gym a lot, and there was a certain level of ego. Like, even if I was in like my gym bro phase, like there was a certain level of ego. I understood when I went to the gym, like, yes, I come here consistently, but that dude is still way fucking bigger than me. Like, that guy is the goals I want right now. So I'd ask him, I'm like, dude, how do you get your traps so huge? Like, what the hell did you do, man? And like, he would show us a bunch of like insane shoulder workouts, and I'm like, my arms are like falling off at the end. But yeah, man, it just gives you this opportunity to find your first mentor until you can find another, and then another. And then you start collecting mentors like Pokemon, man.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal story. I definitely, like, the warmest I've ever been in the gym is whenever a big dude looks at you and you're like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? And they're like, trying to get big like you, or something like that. Or, see a big dude and he's like, oh, what's up, big dog? What's up, big homie? That
dude.
Oh, it's like a Southern lady calling me sugar.
Yeah.
Oh,
dude, it's like the best, like, warmest embracing hug you've ever had. Like that hug that makes you feel like you could go to bed, Yeah.
So
it feels so good.
So that's what you're missing whenever you're letting your anxiety and depression be a barrier that you're not overcoming. And one thing that's really kept me from several things throughout my life has been the fiscal barrier to entry. And this app is only $12.99 per month for the pro version, which that's what it costs to get shout out from NSLP at the end of every episode, give or take. And if you want to pay for the year in advance, it's only going to be $80. And that's about the cost of all of our subscriptions for editing software to put this podcast up.
Big facts.
So either you could be a podcaster for a month or you could be fit for a year.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. I wish more people were in the gym and less people were in the podcasting space.
It'd make our job significantly easier, right?
Oh my God. See me.
Yeah, dude. Like it sucks too, because, you know, getting on like YouTube and watching like the rabbit hole of like, you know, what do I need to eat? What do I need to do for working out? Yada, yada, yada. I think there was literally a time period where I spent more time on YouTube watching videos of how to work out rather than actually working out, which is hilarious, right?
Well, my primary workout right now is watching people work out.
Yeah, dude. Like I am going to absorb your workout via osmosis, right? Via the transitive property of algebra, as my friend Matt likes to say all the time, because, you know, because they tell you like, well, you're going to use algebra every day for the rest of your life. Well, I guess I better figure out how to make algebra work for me every day for the rest of my life. So transitive property, you're in, buddy. But yeah, man, like that's something else, right? And it spins me in this cycle of like overthinking, overanalyzing, which that's just a natural problem that I have anyway, especially with my anxieties. I'm always constantly like overanalyzing situations. I think about it as like from the Sherlock Holmes movies with Robert Downey Jr., when he's like analyzing how the fight's going to go and he's like, discombobulate. And he like smacks the guy's ears,
Yes.
Which is a hilarious meme because it'll be like, dodge left arm, discombobulate.
First, discombobulate. Dazed, discombobulate. Distract target. Discombobulate. Block his blind jab. Discombobulate.
And then it like goes on for like 10 minutes of him just bopping the dude in the ears. It's hilarious. I'm gonna have to find that, like put it up on screen or something for this video. But you know, like I think a part of me is like, yeah, dude, like I'm like Sherlock Holmes. I'm gonna analyze how this workout's gonna go. I'm going to work out at that machine, which is going to allow me to immediately plop over there. And then I sit there for 45 minutes planning out my step by step by step. And then I don't execute it because I just wasted my entire lunch hour analyzing.
So here's one of the keys to the universe that only a crazy person knows. Manifestation and talking about things and researching things only gets you for like the first 3 steps. From there on, you have to do it. So talking is going to be your entry level and researching and watching videos, but then you have to do it. So really crossing into mastery is whenever you are doing more than you're talking about it. And we've all recognized this as we grow older, that we used to talk about a thing all the time. And once you start doing it, you stop talking about it. So this app is going to help you progress much in a similar way because it's constantly revamping based on your efforts. And really, that's what life is about. You go from talking to doing, and that's how you get better mentally, physically, spiritually, all of it. We're going to have an Aaron rant here soon with all my problems with religion. But you know, a sneak preview. So many people say that they follow a faith and they don't do any of the things that faith says they should do. It's the same way in every sphere, mental, physical, spiritual. Stop talking about it. Start doing it. This app gave us an amazing code, alphaprogression.com/NSLP, and that'll give you 20% off your first payment. So this is the sign to stop manifesting, stop saying it into the mirror, start doing it.
Yeah. Big facts, man.
We had a coach who charges $500 a month tell us the app is the exact same principle. Bitch.
Yeah. That fucking coach, he was like, yo, No Streetlights podcast is where I go to, but this app is also where I go to.
Yeah. Aaron's a firearms instructor and a martial arts instructor. Tim's an investigator. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah. He was like, Tim, that guy, he's only good at like one thing in life, but damn, is he good at it.
He's got a black belt that he wears to work.
That he does. I do wear a black belt to work 90% of the time, actually.
Hey, me too. My job's just slightly different.
That's fair.
So if you want to be a blackout in working out, use this app. It is the perfect tool for both novices, my white belts out there, what's up, and seasoned lifters. Hello, fellow black belts. thank you.
Yeah. Huge thank you to Alpha Progression for sponsoring this episode. It's the perfect opportunity for us to cover one of the core pillars that I think we've touched on, but we've never added our own personal perspectives. We've always taken a guest's perspective and discussed how physical fitness has changed their life.
Yep.
I think it's very important for Aaron and I to be able to discuss the positives and negatives that physical fitness has brought to us. You know, I was really big into working out. I eventually fell out of it. I fell back into it. I fell out of it. I've been in a love-hate relationship with going to the gym, man. And having a tool like Alpha Progression, you know, it's one of those things where I'm like, this is the boon I needed. Like that moment where it was like, if you are waiting for the universe to give you a sign, this is it, you know? And I jumped on it and they're like, hey, you know, we really dig what you guys are doing. You know, we would like it if you would talk about our app, but also like take this opportunity to discuss this.
Yeah, they sponsored this episode. And not only that, we're so grateful because they gave us a code so we can save our audience money. Like we said, the pro version is like $13 a month or $80 a year. And my own trainers that I've worked with before, like some of them can cost like $500 a month. And there's really no difference between what you're going to get from an expensive personal trainer and this app. It's that good. Seriously.
Yeah. So make sure you go to alphaprogression.com/NSLP. We'll have the link up on the screen here, or we'll have the link down in the description and we'll also pop it up on the screen here so you guys can see that. But go give them a check out. If it's something that, whether you're a seasoned lifter or you're just thinking about getting into it, if it's something that you really want to do, we highly recommend it. Give it a shot, get yourself into the gym and start feeling those changes. Start accepting that mind-body connection and really allow yourself to become the person that you are envisioning that you want to be, right? It's very important.
So thank you to all of our listeners for being willing to do this work. Thank you for also being on our team and wanting to write a love letter to your body, for carrying you through this beautiful experience. We seriously can't thank you enough. You can join our community over on Discord. You can join us over on Patreon. Like I said, if you're doing $10 a month, you're going to start getting shouted out. Our current $10 a month patrons are...
We have the legendary Ketria Hausner, incredible friend of the show. She's been with us. She's been one of our largest supporters over the time. And I don't know if NSLP would be where we are today without her, which also can be said about our other $10 patron, Highland Markle. Man, you taught us so much at the beginning. We didn't understand anything about audio, and you jumped in and said, hey guys, don't worry, I got you. We've advanced a lot. We've leveled up since then. So I hope you're proud because, dude, you know, we are putting out this show because of you.
And thank you for being my best friend for 22 years. Highland crashed my 10th birthday party, as you guys know. Speaking of other party crashers, our $20 tier, we have Jason Grooms and Eric Spears, two of my best friends who I met both of them in Japan when I was on this huge lifting kick. You guys have been seeing the pictures throughout the episode. So if you are on YouTube, drop a like for all that hard work Tim is doing. Leave a comment on your favorite exercise group, muscle group to work out. Leg day, push day, pull day. What are you doing? Tell me. And Atticus Thatcher, who is at Shaolin Kung Fu with me. And he's dropping serious episodes with us that we freaking love.
Yeah, all of you guys are amazing. The best part about being part of our Patreon is if you're lacking in that ability to have an accountability buddy, you have an entire community. You have Aaron and I, you know, hey, I need an accountability buddy too. So I'm going to be reaching out to Aaron and being like, I don't want to go to the gym today, man. And then when he wakes up in 5 hours, he's going to be like, did you go to the gym?
If not, I'll eat your hair.
Yeah, and then he actually will. That's why Aaron's beard is red.
Yep.
As I like to end this show, it's my favorite way because I feel like it's always important to remind you guys, but be good to yourselves and each other.
We love the gym.
And we love you.
Our podcast cannot be substituted for professional medical advice. If you need help now, please call 911 or text or call 988 for immediate intervention. If you want protracted support, you can go to betterhelp.com/NSLP. Get you 10% off first month and help the channel grow quite a bit. Okay, thanks.
No street lights, but we're finding our way. In the dark, but we've got something to say. Lessons learned and stories untold. Come on.